The parable is not about work ethic. It's not about reward system. It's about the nature of God. God is not calculating. He's not stingy. God is not standing a merit-based kingdom. Grace is not earned by longevity. Grace is not increased by suffering. And grace is not reduced by late arrival. Hello and welcome to Limitless Grace. I am Grace Kinga. Today, we are stepping into one of Jesus' most unsettling parables. It confronts our ideas of fairness, our habit of comparison, and our quiet belief that God should reward us according to how long and how hard we think we have labored. In the book of Matthew, chapter 20, we see a parable of the vineyard. So in Matthew 20 and verse 1, it says, "For the kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out early in the morning to hire workers for his vineyard." So early morning, the first ones chosen, they show up ready. They are willing and strong for the work. Then we see in verse 2, he agreed to pay them a denarius for the day and sent them into his vineyard. So there's a clear agreement. No exploitation and no injustice. They are not cheated, nor misled. They are paid what was promised. And then in verse 3 up to verse 7, we see the same master going out about 9 in the morning, about noon, about 3, and about 5 in the afternoon, asking, "Why have you been standing here all day long, doing nothing?" Then they respond, "Because no one has hired us." These people were not lazy or unwilling to work. Some were not chosen early because life did not allow it, because maybe their strength failed, because opportunity passed them by. Others because of disability, loss, or circumstance placed them last in line. And then in Matthew in verse 8 we see, begin with the last ones hired and go on to the first. This is the master telling the servant how the people will be paid. You know, God's grace disrupts order. Grace ignores hierarchy. It is a grace that doesn't follow our timelines. So in verse 9, we see the workers who were hired about 5 in the afternoon came and each received a denarius. So they got a full wage, not partial, because grace does not apologize. Then we see in the same book of Matthew 20 and verse 10. So when those came who were hired first, they expected to receive more. So their expectation was born here, not from the promise, but from comparison, simply because they have seen what others are receiving. Then in verse 11 and 12, we see them, they began to grumble, and they said, "You have made them equal to us." You see, this is the real offense. Not that others were paid, but others were made equal. You know, God's grace. Grace levels ground. We secretly want it to be tilted in our favor. But we see in Matthew chapter 20 and verse 13, the master said, Fred, I'm not being unfair to you. God is calm here. He's unmoved by accusation. Then in Matthew 20, 14 and 15, didn't you agree to work for a denarius? Are you jealous because I'm generous? The problem is not God's goodness. The problem is our resentment. When grace flows beyond us, the parable is not about work ethic. It's not about reward system. It's about the nature of God. God is not calculating. He's not stingy. God is not standing a merit-based kingdom. Grace is not earned by longevity. Grace is not increased by suffering. And grace is not reduced by late arrival. Some of us have walked with God for decades. Some of us arrive after griefs have shattered us. Some come early, and some came crawling. But the vineyard owner says, you belong and worthy of dignity. If you feel like a late hour worker because disability slowed you, because caregiving consumed you, because loss delayed your journey, hear this today. You are not less, and you are not behind, and you are not receiving any leftovers. Grace does not downgrade our worth. So, in Matthew, the same chapter 20 and verse 16, we see it saying, so the last will be first, and the first will be last. This is not reversal as punishment. It is correction of pride. It is restoration of dignity. May we learn to rejoice not only when grace meets us early, but when grace meets others fully. This is Limitless Grace. Until next episode, let grace make and keep you in God's mighty presence. I love you. Bye.